Let's get corrupted. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Joe with Meteoric Serpents coming back at you for another episode of the Colubrid Corruption Podcast. Guys, it's great to be back another week down, and we are here. Colubrid Corruption, as always, coming to you on a Sunday. Everyone listening, if it's your first time here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe here on YouTube. Yeah, share it out with a friend. Show people you enjoy the show. It really helps out. Drop a comment. Let me know what your favorite part about the show is. I'm assuming because of our guest here, we might have some newer people here. So I appreciate you tuning in. If so, again, just hit that subscribe button and thank you. If you don't necessarily like listening on YouTube, you can check us out on all the major audio podcasting platforms like Apple, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube Music, Amazon, all that good stuff. If you are listening on there, please give us a 5-star rating, drop a review, and again, share with a friend. All that stuff really helps out tonight, so thank you. You can find the links to all my social media down in the description. I just have it in one big Linktree link, so that way you can find me everywhere. Otherwise, you could search Meteoric Serpents on all the major social media platforms and you will find me. So go ahead and give me a follow. That way you could stay up to date with what's going on with the podcast and my collection and things like that. So yeah, you could also find the link to our guest Instagram here in the description. Go give them a follow. Tell them thank you for coming on the show and let them know if you enjoyed. So yeah. All right, guys, we got people in the chat. What's going on? If you are looking for a good cause in the Colubrid community to put some extra money towards, you should check out the CCR Conservation Fund. This is a 501c3 going directly to Colubrid Conservation with Dr. Loafman and his students. Definitely great. I know at least one of his students just did their thesis or defended their thesis, however that works. Sorry, Zach. And yeah, I know it's going successfully, and I know this project is doing great things. So go check out the CCR Conservation Fund. All the proceeds at the Colubrid Fest auction also go to this. So speaking of Colubrid Fest, guys, September 25th through 27th in Evansville, Indiana. I'm super excited to be back. Looking forward to seeing and meeting a bunch of new faces, as well as getting to reconnect with the old faces that have been there for the past couple of years. So super stoked. Once again, September 25th through 27th in Evansville, Indiana. Let's see. Guys, if you haven't already, you should check out the first link in the description below. That does take you to the Meteoric Serpents Patreon. If you're looking to get more access to me, more out of what you see here, early access to pre-recorded episodes, a cool Discord group chat with all the members, first dibs on any animals I produce, giveaways as well. The Meteoric Serpents Patreon is a good place to be. Go ahead and join. That first link in the description. Lowest tier is $5 a month. I know for damn sure you guys are paying for like a cup of coffee at Starbucks that costs more than that. So check out the Patreon. If you enjoy the show, come support me. It really helps out. And gonna quickly say, actually, we'll show off our Colubrid of the week before we say what's up to the chat. Nope, wrong tab. There we go. This Heng Duan locality Chinese king rat. Super cool. A lot of like pink tones here. Colubra posted this, so go follow Colubra. They've been on the show before, but super cool looking animal. I really like that color coming through. I don't think you get that on like the standard mainland type. So yeah, check out Colubrid Reptiles. Thanks for sharing this. We'll quickly say what's up to the chat here. We have Amanda in the building, one of our Patreon members. Thanks for hanging out, Amanda. Keller, what's up? Always here. Colubrids, Kyle, thanks for tuning in as usual. Chris from Copperhead Reptilia, thanks for being here. We got Brandon in the chat as well. But yeah, guys, and we got KMB Reptiles. We do have ball python people here. Hello, chat. Good to see you guys. Before we get into our guest tonight, I do want to, and I'm doing this before I forget as usual. David has not said anything to me, but Colubrid Corruption is brought to you guys by Temporalis Enterprises. David Deem, if you're looking for your next milk snake project, whether that be a locality animal, whether that be morphs, Temporalis Enterprises is the first place to go for your next highest quality milk snake. I know if you I don't know if you have to contact David, but he's put it out there a few times. If you're like looking to be on his wait list, or at least get like access to what he's producing, you should definitely join his newsletter. That way he sends out the notifications directly to you about what he's got, what's in the pipeline, things like that. So if you're looking for your next milk snake, once again, go to Temporalis Enterprises. His Instagram link is in the description, so go follow him and check him out. But yes, without further ado, we're going to bring on our guest here and welcome Brandon Nixon to talk about ball pythons. Isn't that right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably a little bit, but outside of that, I'm sure a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, that was a quick joke. But what's up, man? It's a pleasure to have you here. I've been following you for years. You're doing really great stuff with your animals, and we were talking privately recently, and I don't think I realized how much you were working with on the colubrid side. Like, I knew you were always diverse in your collection, but when you made mention of what you have, I was like, I gotta have him on because you're a reptile guy. So, Brandon, if you don't mind, for anyone in the chats who is not familiar with you, doesn't know who you are, can you kind of introduce yourself to everyone, kind of how you got into reptiles and how that brought you to where your collection's at today?
I mean, I think like a lot of people that I think genuinely enjoy just reptiles in general, it's one of those things that just starts young. You like dinosaurs, you like, Jurassic Park. I mean, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just kind of what draws you in. And it's, reptiles are based, I mean, a chicken is obviously closer to a dinosaur than a snake somehow. But, that's what kind of leads you down this path, is just generally enjoying reptiles. So that's kind of where it was. And I mean, I've had a variety of things for pretty much a long time. My first like pet snakes that I had gotten were they were in like late elementary, like middle school, that I like barely remember. All I remember is that they were corn snakes that continually escaped because that was like the days where they didn't like, I mean, just caging in general has like evolved like so much, but they were like in cages where the top didn't like clip or lock like in any way, shape, or form, and a corn snake can just like escape out of anything. But we'd always find them. But that was like one of the first snakes that I had. And then, a couple years later, I ended up convincing my parents to let me get boas. And then I had those for a long time, and a couple ball pythons, and got rid of those. Berm, got rid of that. Like, it's just, there's been like a lot of kind of back and forth, but I've continually kept reptiles pretty much as far as I can remember. So
awesome. And like, when was it that you really became Nixon Reptiles and was doing what you're currently doing on like this high level?
I mean, I want to say that is like, that's almost like a little bit gray, because I had been producing boas with kind of spotty success.
Okay.
From 2005 was my first boa litter I had with like a buddy of mine. Nice. And then my last boa litter that I produced was in like, well, not my last one, because I guess I produced more after that. But before I started picking up more and more ball pythons was in 2017. And then I produced more boas, and I want to say it was 2021 or whatever. But around, 2020 is kind of when I started focusing more on the ball pythons, like starting to pick them up in 2019, 2020. And then that kind of helped fund a lot more as far as like caging and animals and all that other kind of stuff. So I guess that's why it's a little bit of a gray area.
Sure.
Because it's like it just kind of progressed over time. And then once I got into the ball pythons, I just had way more success because they're just so much easier to breed than boas are.
Of course.
So I just ended up finding way more success with it. But, with that success, also comes like other issues as well, like the rodents, and that's my current plight that I have, is that I'm dealing with rodents, 2 days out of the week, plus, every couple of days, just checking on them and making sure they're, alive and got food and water, so that's my current crux with the ball pythons.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I know it, like the rodents is the biggest thing. I honestly, I say it's one of the reasons why I started transitioning out, because, and like, not that I had a ton of ball pythons, but when I was back in Florida, man, it was much easier for me to get rodents. Me and a couple other buddies used to like pool together to get them from one of the big suppliers, so we got them super cheap. We got them every
Yeah.
week as needed. Um, and it was no problem. And coming to New York, where that just wasn't as existent.
Yeah.
The rodents are a pain, especially because ball pythons, I won't say they are completely unwilling to, but generally it is much easier to feed them live.
Yeah. They're
Which
just not
I'm fully
reliable
aware
frozen
of.
thod feeders.
Yeah,
I got some that'll take literally anything you offer them at any time you offer it, but that's, more the exception than the rule.
for
So,
sure.
but
Absolutely. So what was it in that time where you started picking up like the ball pythons heavily? What was it that brought you in? Because you mentioned like you had some in the past, but you moved them on. Was it like this resurgence of like and social media and stuff like that? Did you kind of see it and be like, hey, this is something I'm interested in?
no, so the first ball pythons that I got were when I was like a sophomore or junior in like high school. So that was in like 2022 or 2022, 2002. I got
Okay.
the zeros and the twos all mixed up. So it was around there, and they were doing great, and they were eating frozen thawed. But then it became a point to where they just like weren't really doing it, and it's like, and I didn't want to feed them live. I mean, my one of my first pets was a pet rat, and I know, and I say that pretty much on every podcast that I go on. But like, I genuinely just like all animals, So it's like
Yeah.
I don't like, having to feed off, 200 plus rats a week. Now I am feeding like live soft furred rats to the ball pythons here. And there are several that will take frozen thawed or have taken frozen thawed. I mean, it's just pretty much all how you prepare them. If they have a good feeding habit, they have a good feeding habit. But that's what got me out of them initially, was that I just didn't want to have to like feed live. And then
Sure.
getting back into them, I really liked, I just sometimes, man, I just go into Morph Mart and I just look at stuff, and it could just be like any category. It's like, and I got no business. Like, I have almost no desire to own like a skink, but every once in a while I'll just peruse through the skinks and just
Yeah.
see what's cool. And that's kind of the way it was with the ball pythons. I was looking at it and I wanted, a little bit of variety, and I did, I do know, because I was friends with a lot of people that did ball pythons for years, and
Okay.
they had really good success breeding them. And I mean, some of my friends that have had in the hobby the longest were ball python people, and I never kept, I not never, but like I had boas around the time that I knew all these people, and I would hang out with
Right.
them at Tinley and all that stuff. And that was like in
Okay.
like 2008 and 9, and like, like a long time ago. And it was like I was only boas at that point, and so I just, I was like, let me maybe dabble in it. So I'd seen like the sunsets. I thought they looked cool. I thought like value wise, they were high value. So I felt like if I did get them and I got a couple of animals, I could at least turn that into something. And
Right.
and honestly, it worked. I was able to get those animals and other animals and build those up and produce stuff and move out, a good amount of animals the last like several years that I've been breeding them. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So before you dove back in to the balls in that 2019 2020, like you said, was was it all boas that you had?
yeah, at that point, yeah.
Only boas.
I
Okay.
had I had well, I mean, not only I had a couple of Burmese and stuff like that, which I
Okay.
still have. But for the most part, it was mostly boas, a couple of berms, couple of blood pythons. At
Gotcha.
that point, I didn't have any colubrids. I got colubrids probably like 2 years after that. I started picking up some corn snakes and milk snakes and stuff, and And then
Nice.
I moved on from those too. I had like, and I probably had like 4 or 5 bull snakes too. And I moved on from all that stuff because I just felt kind of weird about the whole brumation thing.
Sure.
Like I just didn't really like understand it. I didn't really like want to go through the hassle and difficulty of like making my own thing to like brumate them, how it would go wrong and all this and all that. And then whenever Wilbanks came out with his, little thing that he's got that, can cool and heat and do all the things, I was like, you know what, like maybe I can like dabble like back in there. And that's when I started. And then I didn't, that was probably another like 3 years after I got rid of stuff. And then I was like, maybe I'll, start picking stuff up again. So I picked up a good number of hognose snakes and bull snakes and
Nice.
gopher snakes and just recently got a couple of Barron's racers because I was finally able to find ones
Yeah.
that, I mean, not that they look extremely different, but what I wanted became like available or I seen it. And then I was like, let me get on that. So,
Yeah. Let me ask while it's still fresh on my mind. Have you used that Wilbanks? Did you actually get the Wilbanks unit, and have you used it
no,
for?
I don't.
Okay.
I have a buddy that he has one and he really likes it. But now I even realize because like I have a pretty good sized basement down here where I have like everything else, and I have another room that's just adjacent to like this room. So I'm actually going to use that as like my
Yeah.
colubrid room. And then because we're here in Maryland, it gets plenty cold here during the winter.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk to one of my buddies because that's what he does. But he basically just cracks a window, lets it get down to the temperature it needs to get down to, and then he just monitors it as needed,
Yeah,
and
that's
just
perfect.
make sure that he keeps it, 55 to 60 degrees or whatever for that like 12-week period. And then he warms them back up and then they're good to go. So I don't need to waste a bunch of money on a cooling system when I have nature
Yeah.
that can do it for me. So,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm again, that's partly another reason of like me doing what I did with my collection and also being back in the Northeast, like I can just cool the whole room and like not
yeah.
worry about it. Um so it's good. It makes things easy when you can kind of do that and let the seasons fluctuate with your animals as well.
Yeah. I had a buddy that I got some of his bull snakes from him. He lived down in Florida and he had gotten one of the Wilbanks things. I don't think he like used it or wanted to use. I don't know, whatever his situation was, but basically, it's just he can't really keep them cool enough there
It's
in
hard.
Florida, I guess. I got him from him, and it just kind of is what it is. But yeah, it's crazy how there are definitely benefits, and I also think that me moving around a lot like when I was in the military and just all that other stuff is what affected my like boa breeding and why I was
Okay.
having kind of spotty success because I would be in one spot for 3 years, then I go to another spot, and then I go to another. So it's like every
Yep.
couple of years I would end up moving. So I don't think the animals ever really got on a schedule to really like do well. So I mean, now we've been in the place we're in now for I want to say like 6 years now or something around there. So we've been here for a good while. So everything's like stable. I mean, I've gotten like new boas to like build that stuff back up too because I do really enjoy them. I just wasn't really having good success and the
Yeah.
way that I kind of look at it now is if I, just have the ball python projects that I like, it doesn't really matter with all this other stuff. I just keep it because I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the boas, I enjoy like the bull snakes, I enjoy, I enjoy the hognose. Like they're really cool. I think those are just as saturated as say the ball pythons are. Like there's a lot of people that are producing way too many of them, but
Yeah.
I think they're a really cool like pet snake, and I don't want to make a million of them. I don't, I just want to have a small group of cool stuff, and just have them and enjoy them. So
Absolutely. And as you started diving into some of these colubrid species over the last couple years, what was it about the species you have that started like catching your eye? For at the very least, like the bulls and the hogs and stuff like that.
I mean the hogs, it's just like I don't think they share a single brain cell between the entire world's population of hognose snakes. Like they're just so just dumb that it's funny. Like I was holding one earlier, man, and just like every once in a while, I think it would forget that it was hanging out with me, and then it would just flatten its neck out like a little cobra and huff and puff at me, and then it
Yeah.
would chill out for a bit, and then it would just go through cycles like a little goldfish. Its brain would reset. But what got me with the bull snakes was like I grew up in Southern California, so there was always gopher snakes and all that stuff like around where we
Yeah.
lived. So there was a bull snake or gopher snake. It's funny because like up until recently, I've always just said bull snake, gopher snake, same difference, and it's like not really though. They're segregated from like West Coast, Midwest, and East Coast
Yeah.
between like bull, gopher, bull, and then pine. But for at the time, I always thought they were bull snakes. But there was always a gopher snake that we caught like every single year. I feel like because it would always be stretched out like along like our driveway because we lived in the country, and it's like I'd catch him like almost every year for a good like 3 4 years, and then just catch him. He was chill, put him down. Bull snakes they get big, they get kind of meaty, like they have some like size to them.
Yeah.
Um, they're just really cool snakes, and the keeled scales are like really interesting.
Definitely.
So there's just a lot of really neat stuff with them, and I also think that the like the line breeding aspect of it is really nice, because with that stuff you're like breeding for like the quality of the example of the animal,
Yep.
and it's very different from say like pretty much any other species of you know, I don't know, marketable snake, right? Like for those you're trying to go for like genetics and all that other stuff. And it's like there might be like a degree of quality that's mixed in. But a lot of people it's just like how many genes can we get stacked in this thing? And
Yeah.
with the bull snakes, I don't feel like it's really that way. Like there's obviously some morph projects, but like I just want to make like the reddest Kingsville Reds. You know what I mean? I want them to end up looking like Darth Maul, just red and black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And likewise with like the Stillwater hypos and the flames and all that stuff. Like I just want to make stuff that just looks really cool and stuff that a lot of people could just enjoy as a very reasonably priced like pet. Like I know there was a chick recently that went on to Colubrid and Colubrid Radio with Clint and I forget the other dude's name.
Zach. Yeah.
Zach, yeah, Clint and Zach. And she was talking about how the barrier to entry in like reptiles has kind of gotten out of hand. And I thought that was like a very interesting like phrasing that she used for that. And it's like, it's true. Like there's all these people online that are just talking about like bioactive enclosures and all this stuff. And it's making it like so difficult because it's like, you think if you don't give this thing a friggin' 4x2 bioactive
Yeah.
enclosure that you're robbing it of its like will to live or something. And then pricing on some animals is like astronomically high. And then there's other animals that get underappreciated, like a lot
Yeah.
of these like corn snakes and king snakes and stuff are so like low priced that it's kind of a disservice to like their life, I feel like. But you could argue the same thing for like these rats and mice that we feed them. It's like they're like a couple of bucks each, and it's like that's what their life is worth, and that kind of sucks too. But that's a whole
Yeah.
other like weird existential like
Yeah.
thought process that goes into all that. But
No, but I'm in full agreement about the barrier to entry with stuff because like I just see so much of it between Facebook groups and other places that I'm in and see and like I just can't stand the mentality that like everything has to be in a 4x2x2. I'm just like it's ridiculous. And I'm not the person that says because here's where I think the argument gets caught up. I think people think the argument is like are enclosures better or are racks better. I'm like my position isn't that racks are better. I think they are a great tool for people that are breeders like me and yourself. Um of course I think enclosures are better. Like you could give better standards in an enclosure, But there are some species who just won't do as well in an enclosure as they will in a rack, and it's plain as simple as
Yeah,
that. Like I'll tell anyone that like my bamboo rat snakes, like would they do fine in an enclosure? Probably. Would they prefer a rack? Most definitely. They
yeah,
like being hidden. They're a fossorial species. Like they don't want that. So I think when people throw that out there for like every species, I think it's ridiculous. Like even for like a hognose, I think a 4x2x2 is so unnecessary. Like a male hognose, like it's
dude.
swimming
I
in that thing. It's equivalent to a like the ocean.
Yeah, it really is, and I didn't even know, man. I was talking with a guy that I've gotten a lot of hognose from, and and I was like sitting there, I was just talking to him about it, and I weighed my hognose recently, and he basically was like, dude, those are like ready to breed. Like I weighed like one of my females, and she's like over 400 grams, and when I was talking to him, he was like kind of taken back by that, because it's like I guess like a lot of people start breeding their females at like 200-ish grams, and their males they'll start breeding them at like, I don't even know, it was like 25 or 45 grams or so, some weight that just doesn't even like comprehend in my mind. And like I weighed like the majority of my hognose, and it's like I'm literally not doing anything special with them. And in fact, a lot of them I should feed more, because like I open up their tub and they'll like come at me, and it's like whenever I told him that, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's because like they're hungry, like because they're
Yeah.
digesting their food so fast. I should probably be feeding them like twice a week versus like once a week or once every 10 days." And that's kind of the schedule I had them on. But like unbeknownst to me, I've just had them basically ready to breed for probably the last like year, and I didn't even like cycle them or do anything. I did try pairing a couple, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I couldn't even imagine, because I didn't real I my and I did the same thing with ball pythons too. Is like I just remember like, okay, well, boas are pretty damn big when they breed. So I
Yeah.
had my ball pythons and I was raising those things up, and it's like I was raising them up, and I was going to pair them whenever they were like 3, 4 years old, just like I do with the boas.
Yep.
And apparently that's not a thing a lot of ball python people do. A lot of ball python people shove rats down their snake's throat until they grow magically, and then they pair them together with it when they're 18 months old. Like
Yeah.
that's like the way that is. And I haven't done that with like any of my things. Like I've just, they'll just take their time, they'll get there when they get there.
Yeah. There is literally, but besides the fact of getting that first clutch with that female earlier, there is zero long-term benefit to like pairing
No, there isn't. There's no upside
2-year-old
benefit to the
girls.
animal's life. And I do know that, like Warren Booth, he went on to like a podcast or whatever, like a while back. And, whenever these pythons and boas and stuff, whenever they eat, like everything enlarges, like their heart, like all this
Yes.
stuff enlarges. And now I did hear that there is something to say about, if you feed like really, really small meals, it doesn't do that to the same effect. So you can kind of cheat the system a little bit, as far as like, it's not going to have the same like full body response as a bigger meal would. But who really knows though? But it doesn't really matter though, because it's like, just reasonable meal once a week. And the boas that I have, man, I think that might be part of why I was having bad success with them too. Like back in those days, it's like you just got your boa big, and it's
Yeah.
like, so you're feeding it large rats every week, regardless of what was going on. And now, I mean, a lot of people, they'll go 2, 3 weeks between like feedings, and you get a much stronger, like healthier animal. So even my babies, like I feed them most of the time like bi-weekly, because it just does better for them. Like they don't need to be pounded with food every single week, and they'll make the same, they'll like 3, 4 years from now, whenever they're 4 or 5 years old or whatever, it's like they'll be big enough to produce, and it's going to be way better for them, and they'll last a lot longer, you
Right.
know?
Right. Um, I'm sure as you started diving into more colubrid species, a big difference you experienced, between them and the boas and pythons is just like behavior. obviously you have like a much different animal with colubrids, literally, compared to something like a ball python. How much of that was kind of a grab for you to dive more into that world?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting, I guess. Like we'll occasionally we just call them like our couch snakes, and there's not really any particular snake that's a couch snake, but like whatever one I feel like taking out for that day. But the colubrids are definitely more cruisy whenever you have them out.
Yes.
So it's a little bit more interactive and stuff. So they're fun. It's definitely different when like I mean, like a ball python like holds on to you, but like I have like these little Mexican or not Mexican, the black milk snakes. I think they are
Okay.
Mexican though. I don't know, but the black milk snakes, and they're like really cool. But it's surprising because they're like as big around as my pinky. But whenever they hold on to you, though, it's like that little thing has a lot of strength. Like it
Yeah.
just like it's like for how small it is, like whenever it grips, it's like wow, you're really gripping. So it is really interesting in that regard. And then to kind of go back to what you mentioned before about like caging, I picked up some 4-foot cages recently.
Nice.
I had them behind me whenever we first started talking, and then I moved them before we started the show. But I recently moved. I moved my bull snakes into those, and then I moved them out of those today, actually. And it's not because, like, first off, they're just not really climbing around, and I also didn't put any big branches or anything in there. But I
Okay.
want to kind of set my. I have them now in my 8016 like ARS tub, which is
Yeah.
like almost 3 foot by 2 foot. Like so, it has like a pretty good, amount of floor space in it. But it's like I want to set them up kind of like how you do with your bamboo rats and stuff, where you have the substrate, you have like the cork bark that they can hide under and crawl around on and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes to like ease of cleaning and stuff too, because it's very easy
Yeah.
to just swap a tub out or wipe up like a soiled area or whatever, versus like in a cage you have like those 90-degree corners, and sometimes
Right.
stuff gets stuck in there. They're just a little bit more complicated to clean. So I do think that just having them in that is nice. But it was cool though, man, because and the 8016s have big windows. So to get back to what you were saying, like whenever I am down in the snake room, I would see the bull snakes just like come out, and then they would just kind of be cruising the window. Granted, they're doing that because they know that I'm the food bringer, and maybe they
Yeah.
can beg. But like it is cool because they are interactive. Even if a bull snake doesn't act like it wants to be like handled because they'll yell at you,
Yeah.
like they're still like a very interactive animal. And once they realize, that you're not trying to hurt them, they're just kind of chilling, and then they're just trying to figure out like what you're about, like what's going on, like what's this over here. Like I feel like you actively see them thinking about their environment or like what's going on with them.
Right. No, I definitely think like big bull snakes benefit from those size tubs that you mentioned, like because something like even a V70 is just like too small for an adult bull. Like they're big, beefy animals. So yeah,
Yeah.
those tub setups are, kind of definitely do the trick for them. Um yeah, I know that's what a lot of people tend to keep Pituophis in, if not like uh an enclosure, but yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool snakes. They're just fun. And same thing like the barons. Like I've just seen them for so long because it's like how can you not like the blue, like the colors that they
Yeah.
come in. But and I know you've had for some reason I always want to call him John, but I know his name isn't John, but Mike from Palm Beach Colubrid.
I had both of them on,
Yeah,
John and Mike. Yeah.
is that why I'm confused? Because there is a John and a Mike.
Yeah, so John is the one
Okay,
who does a lot of the stuff that
the
goes
bald
on.
guy, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does most of the
Okay.
social media stuff. He does
Okay.
the king rats, the barons, the bird
Yeah.
snakes. Mike is a vet, actually, a veterinarian, and he does primarily like corns and kings.
That's why I was confused then,
Yeah.
because like I always thought the dude's name was John, but whenever I like some other dude did a video at his spot recently, and he showed that he had brown Barons racers, and I've been wanting to get some of those, and so I like messaged him and was like, "Hey, do you have any more of those brown Barons left?" And he said, yeah. So I ended up picking it up. And then I was like, all right, I'll
Oh,
just
nice.
message you on Morph Market so you can make shipping easier, right? And whenever it came up as Michael. And I was like,
Oh,
I could swear this dude's name was John. And
yeah,
it's like, who knows, man? His name could be Michael, John, whatever. And he goes by John, like, I don't know. But like, I could swear, like, yeah, it's just funny though. I didn't know it was two
yeah,
dudes. I thought, it was the one guy, and I thought his name was John, but then on Morph Market it said Michael. And I was like, I mean, I know it's the right dude, so whatever. But yeah, so I ended up getting one of those. And those things are just zippy little bastards,
oh
especially
yeah,
that brown, man. If I open up the tub on, like, I recently got some clear tubs for my ARS like mini rack for all the colubrids, or for the younger colubrids. And every time I open that thing up, man, that thing like looks at me for a second, and then it just friggin' like a flash of light, it just darts out, and I gotta like be real quick to like snatch them up.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, they're like a little lightning bolt. But my bigger ones that I got from Brittany Gobble, they're pretty chill. Like they just cruise. Like I can pick them up pretty easily. They're not like trying to flee the scene super quick. So
right.
I think once this thing gets to the size of eating like a good size like fuzzy, it'll probably chill out. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think Barons could be like 50-50 on that because I know
On being darty
yeah,
or chill, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
a
racers
little
in the
bit.
name, so you kind of gotta,
Exactly.
expect what they come with.
I like most things. I think the more handling you do, um, I know John keeps a lot of his in cages, at least when they get to like adult size. Like I think that benefits them. They're extremely visual animals, so yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I want to do with them. I'm actually like I want to change my room around quite a bit. Um, I do want to have the whole colubrid room thing, and the barons would be part of that. And for those, I feel like it would be awesome just to have those in like 4x4x2 enclosures or something,
yeah,
and just some big sticks in there. And then it's like you could put like one on top of the other, and then it's like an 8 foot enclosure, which is probably a pain in the ass, but you'll be able to easily get to the second one,
yep,
being, just 4 feet off the ground. But it'd be cool to just have those things in like big enclosures that they can cruise the branches and do all the things. And then I know that he houses his in like pairs and trios and stuff
yeah.
too, because they just chill together. They just hang out. They're not going to eat each other. They're not going to do anything crazy. So it's really cool that you can do that with them as well.
You can do it with a lot more colubrids that I think people give credit for. I think like the public consensus is, oh, don't house your snakes together, but like
Yeah.
man, when I'm between like pairing and sometimes just like ease, like I throw pairs together on a bunch of stuff and like they live happily. Now feeding time gets dicey. That's the thing you have
Well,
to be
because
like
colubrids are
very
very enthusiastic feeders, which
yeah.
is which is also like another really big plus for them. Is that like if you were to get like almost any colubrid and it like doesn't eat, it's like that one's the weird one. Like
Yeah, pretty much.
it pretty much it's just they're just reliable, so they make really good pets in that regard too.
Yeah, definitely. Um, what do you have on the Baron side then? Because obviously you got that brown from John, which I'm glad you got that because most of the time he sends a lot of stuff overseas. But so you have that one. You obviously have this blue that's on the
Yeah.
thumbnail, which that's such a great photo, by the way. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I've got a pair of blues, a green that's het for blue, and
Okay,
then a female brown.
nice.
So I had to ask. So I got that het blue female from Glenn, and I asked him too. I was like, hey, like, kind of what's the deal with this? And he explained it and everything too, because I had heard stuff before, but like I just wanted to clarify from a dude that was selling it is what it was. And he believes that there's basically two types of blues. There's like a genetic blue, which is he thinks it's more of like an axanthic or something along those lines that basically causes a green to be blue because you're
Yeah.
removing some of the pigment so it turns
Yep.
turns blue. And then there's like hormonal blue ones, which are the ones that kind of change blue as they get older. So
Mm.
this specific animal is from one of those genetically blue type
Yeah.
things. And then likewise, the pair of blues that I got from Brittany Gobble were also like genetically blue, not hormonally blue.
Right.
So, and I would like to still pick up another pair of browns. So that way I basically have a trio of both. And then I'll be able to produce
Okay.
blues, greens, and browns all with like 6 animals.
Yeah.
And they'll just be visually beautiful to look at. And I'll be able to enjoy them for exactly what they are, just a really cool snake.
Yeah. The when people start figuring out the Baron's colors a little bit more, it's gonna get really cool with those guys because there's even more colors than just those three. There's like kind of in between ones. I've seen people with like
The
they're
yellows and
not
stuff. Yeah.
bright yellow, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
yellow. I've seen brown ones that go as dark as like it's like almost black and like
Yeah, that'd be really
really
cool to
cool.
make like a black one. My brown one is very like silver looking, which I think
I
is
have
pretty
seen that as
interesting.
well. I've seen those as well, which those
Yeah.
silvers are really cool looking.
Yeah, she's really neat. So I look for him, and I probably I'm gonna hound him as it gets closer to like summertime. See if he had any more browns because I do want to pick up another pair of those just for the
Yeah.
variety. Like it's just such a cool look, and it's so funny because it's like brown snakes and a lot of other things outside of say ball pythons are actually pretty friggin' cool. Like
Yeah.
the brown barons are like really neat. The like a normal hognose is a pretty cool looking snake. Like there's different qualities. Like I picked up one a bit ago that was like basically a red lineage of like normal hognose. And it's like
Okay.
it's just really cool. Like one of the parents looks like what you imagine like one of those Indian corn pieces looking like, where it's like
Hmm.
yellow and red and brown and like all these different colors like mixed up. It looks like really, really neat. So I think there's a lot of just kind of undiscovered potential, kind of within that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, what else is kind of cooking on your colubrid side? Is it really just pits, hogs, barons racers? What else is in the mix there?
Just a pair of black milk snakes on top of that.
Okay, gotcha. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for the pits, I
Um,
just have like basically project, not even really like projects, but I guess groups of stuff for red bull snakes, groups of stuff for like hypo, still water bull snakes, ghost bull snakes, because I think like ghost bull snakes are just like so stupid nice that it's like just
yeah,
absurd, like how black and white they are. Um, and then the San Diego Gophers, and then I have a pair of Mexican pines because I sold a
nice.
pair of those. I had a pair, got them basically to adulthood, and then sold them to a buddy of mine. And then I basically regretted it immediately. He paired them without even cycling them and got eggs. And I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. So I had to like refind and rebuy like another pair because that was when I was going through my whole like didn't want a brewmate type thing and deal with it. So I
Sure.
like got rid of them and then kicked myself forever. But I have a pair of those, and I would like to get another pair. Stephen Cush has like a really
Yeah.
beautiful pair of Depi Jani that I would really like to get like a pair from him.
Yeah.
So that way I have like my pair that I currently have, they're unrelated. So if I could get like a pair from him that are at least unrelated or semi unrelated, even if they are related, it's fine because I could just do some, crossing that way, and then
Right.
it's,
Right.
and then I'm out crossing and being able to just kind of refine and everything else. But yeah, it's pretty much just those, and the black milk snakes are just cool. One, like I had a couple milk snakes before, and none of them ever really bit me, but I feel like they just always think everything is food. So part of the
Okay.
reason why I got the black milk snakes is because, from what I understand, they're a pretty chill milk snake. Like
Yeah.
they're not actively trying to eat you every time you handle them, and they don't really like eat each other like very often, and they get like the biggest out of any other
Yep.
milk snake apparently. So there's like a lot of really cool factors, with that, and they turn like jet black.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like an indigo without the indigo poops everywhere. So I greatly appreciate that, and they're pretty cool right now. They're still in their like tricolor look, but they're
Okay.
like smoldering up a lot, which is really neat to like see
Yeah.
like in real time.
Yeah, give it some more time and you'll start seeing them change a bit more. But they're definitely cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying having them. I would say I'd like to probably add like another pair just to like have like another pair, but I'll wait like a little bit and snag those later. But I'm really liking the ones that I have currently. I pull those out and I'll like take those out and just hang out on the couch with them too because I do want those to be like pretty chill.
Right.
Because I think like that's one of those animals that if you I mean, I think a lot of people could get a lot more people involved and interested in a lot of these colubrids if they brought like adults to like the shows,
Yeah.
because it's corn snakes, especially. I mean, those things, man, like a baby corn snake looks nothing like the adult version most of the time. And it's usually
Agreed.
for the better. Like they usually look like phenomenal as like adults. And likewise, like these bull snakes and stuff, like the red babies I have, like they look awesome, but that's nothing compared to like the red adults that are like fire truck red. You know what I mean? It's like some people need to be able to see like the potential, and it's like, and I don't know if the potential is like, here's a quality photo of this animal, or it's like putting it in its own big display cage or whatever, and then the baby's like in front of it to be like, this is what this turns into. Like, check that out. Like, I think that there's a lot of again, just kind of like, and that goes for everything too. Like Elijah, I don't know if you know Elijah from Juggernaut Reptiles at all.
Yeah, I don't not personally, but yes.
Yeah, but he does blood pythons, a lot of blood pythons. He also does some ball pythons, but like
Yeah.
whenever he goes to Tinley and stuff, he's bringing blood pythons.
Yes.
And whenever he goes there, he brings adult blood pythons, and he'll have
I
his
see him
adults
at
on
White
one side of the
Plains.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll have his adults on one side of the table, and he'll have his babies on the other side. And it's like, this is what those turn into, because blood pythons too, like they're okay looking babies, but they're stupid nice looking adults.
Yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
color just gets better and more contrast and more saturated and everything else. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah, two things I'm gonna throw at that kind of conversation. One, I would love to be able to bring more adults to shows. I feel like how do I put this the right way? I feel like I'd rather put the risk on bringing a baby
Oh
to a
no, I
show
agree with you
than like
100%.
one of my adult breeders that like could make or break that
Your
species
season,
or
yeah.
that or that season, like oh man, I don't want to like I wouldn't bring an adult cockeye to a show just because they breed so much, like the bamboo rats. And the only way I'd bring like an adult rhino to the show is if obviously if like she laid her eggs already and I have her babies on the table, which I guess at that point would make sense. But then it's like that's my adult female on the table. Do I want to do that? Um,
Oh no, I
but
agree. I
on
have the
the
same thought
yeah,
because overall, like I don't. It's tough because it's like I like the idea of shows, but I don't like what shows bring or the risk that shows bring.
yeah,
So for me, like with basically just going to the shows and bringing pythons, basically the ball pythons and blood pythons, um, I'll basically pre-treat my displays. I will pre-treat their tubs that they're like, like that they're like their houses, like that they're currently in. Like I'll do
gotcha.
all that stuff, and it's like, and it's all for the just in case someone peppers my table with some undesirables or something, and it's
Yeah,
like I don't like the idea of going to a show for that reason because I don't want to deal with that. But at the
yeah,
same time, like I do remember being a kid going to reptile shows and thinking it was the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there is like a public something or another that that shows bring to like keep people interested in the hobby and bring new people into the hobby and to see stuff that they haven't seen before. And unfortunately, especially with something as uncommon as a lot of these colubrids are or can be, like they just don't really see them. Like the only time
right.
I've seen like any of those bamboo rat snakes at a show was whenever I went and checked out Metazotic's table and I
Yeah,
picked up a
exactly.
gopher snake from him. Like you don't see those things. But it's like, especially with like these red bull snakes and stuff, some of them are just so crazy red, or the hypos are so crazy nice. It's like you can't appreciate how nice that looks as a baby into
Yeah,
what it's
no,
going to turn into without seeing the adult. And I know some
absolutely.
people will do like just photos and stuff and put photos on their table
Yep.
of the adults. And I do a pretty good job with taking photos and stuff for the most part. So it's like I could get some really nice images of those and put them out there as kind of like an album of like, here's this and here's like their offspring or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Like my
it is
buddy,
tough.
yeah, like Chris Montross deals with a lot of rat snakes and even water snakes that change color over time. He puts a literal photo album down on his table when he does like Colubrid Fest in Daytona. My buddy Chaz, who's been on the show, he actually brought a book of like the Asian rat snakes
Mm-hmm.
by Dr. Messenger, just as like a point of reference for people as they were like asking questions about the stuff on his table, which I think like all those things really help you to stand out more than just face value of having the animals on the table and like hands off from there.
Yeah.
Those little extra things really, I think, help out.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Cool, man. So now, like, where does this interest in colubrids kind of leave the rest of the collection? Like, what's your ultimate goal in terms of, I don't know, maybe percentage breakdown of the stuff in your collection? Do you have an idea of that, of where you're trying to be?
Um, so I mean, a couple of like the Burmese pythons are going to be the smallest group of my snakes because they get the
Sure.
largest. So for those, I'm pretty content with what I already have. Now the difference there is like whenever I produce like whatever I want to produce from those, I'll probably swap out, say, my male to like keep back a male that I produced, or maybe I would keep back like a female and just enjoy her. And I mean, maybe I'll still breed her eventually, but like no matter what, the numbers for those are not going to really grow like that
Makes
much
sense.
outside of like baby production. Yeah, because like I do think out of all the large constrictors that Burmese make the best pet animals. Like I think
Okay.
that someone could get a baby Burm as long as they're a responsible person, and that could easily be a first pet snake. Probably not the
Sure.
wisest choice, but like you grow into it. They don't grow as fast as a retic does. So
Yeah.
it'll take a while for it to get big. And again, it goes back to like you don't have to like overfeed or anything else. If you just feed them once a week, once every 2 weeks, it's like they're going to grow reasonably and you're going to grow with them with your experience.
Yeah.
Um, but number wise, I don't really know. I do know that I want to have like my small group of like berms. I want to have a small group of my blood pythons, a small group of boas. It's like I almost kind of want a lot of it to be fairly even.
Okay.
I do want my ball python numbers to come down a little, and that's because I just need to focus my projects a little bit more.
Sure.
My plan the whole time with those was to kind of get big so I could get smaller, and basically just by like having stuff that's more like gene packed with the genes that I want in it, and then being able to use those like for my projects, and then just being able to like get a different male every once in a while.
Right.
But like right now, let's see, I made like a little like sheet so I can like put all my feeder items in, so it'll like automatically like calculate like how many rodents I needed to thaw. Because that is
Nice.
one thing that's kind of difficult with the different sizes of colubrids. It's like one of them will take like a 3 to 4 gram mouse, and the other one will take a 7 to 11 gram mouse, and I'm like hard to remember which ones are which. So like I
Yeah,
made like a
you'll
whole
learn.
sheet to categorize it.
You'll learn eventually that like trying to classify it sometimes doesn't matter, and depending on the species, it's like, if they get a little bit bigger of a meal today, it's whatever. Or if they get a slightly smaller one, okay, I'll give you a second one now. Um,
Yeah,
and sometimes they grow so quickly that you realize, oh, that feeder is like too small for you now. Like it's time
yeah,
to bump up, dude. And then next you're moving on to the next size. I have that same issue, and like I don't have a ton of animals here, but especially the juveniles, when it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what are you ready for nowadays? But and yes, I'm assuming based on the weight you're giving, you may order from ARS. At least that's where I order from. But
Yeah. That's where
yeah,
I get my mice
so
from too.
yeah, so I ordered a ton in bulk, and now I just have these bags stuffed in a freezer, and I'm like, okay, what do I
Yep.
need today?
And that's kind of what I was doing, but like with like specifically the hognose, whenever I would like open their drawer to like eyeball them and then figure out what size I needed, they would just come like jetting out at me, and I'm like, hold on, dude, we're not ready yet. This is a preliminary situation. So I did make that list, but right now I'm at 40 colubrids is where I'm at
Okay.
number wise, and there are a couple more that I would like to add.
Yeah.
And like I said, that would pretty much just be maybe a couple more bull snakes, maybe a couple more barons, maybe another pair of black milks, but it's really not like too many unless something just is like, wow, that's really cool. Like the rhino
Yeah.
rats, those things are just really neat looking. And a lot of it's just because they're unique shaped face, like it just
Right.
looks cool. So it's like, who knows? I mean, there might be more of those. Boa wise, I still have to get males. So I'll probably end
Okay.
up around like 20 or so, maybe 25, 30, something along those lines. But that includes like locale type stuff as well. Like,
Okay.
because I want to. Do you know who Jason Exotic Reptiles is?
Yes.
He's a bald boa dude. He lives up in your area, actually, somewhere, I think. I
Yeah,
want
the
to say
name
he
sounds
lives in.
familiar.
Yeah, I know he lives up in the Northeast somewhere. Um, but he made like a really interesting comment on like one of his videos before, and he called them like price stable projects, and that's kind of what I would classify anything where there's not going to be these giant like waves of like
Yeah.
this is popular and now it's not, so then it crashes and like all that kind of like crazy stuff. And previously I bred really, really, really nice longicauda boas. So it's like I have currently a female. I'm talking with somebody about a pair now that has stuff that they got from me, like back when I produced them. So it's kind of like great grandfather kind of like lineage there. So it'd be really cool to get some of those because they're just phenomenal looking animals that get really cool as they get older. They're almost like a natural IMG, but there's just like a couple of those. So it's like maybe that would top out like around 20 or somewhere around there, like whenever it's all like said and
Nice.
done as far as like number wise. And then the blood pythons, I have like 10. So, and I'm pretty content with the blood pythons as well because I have orange caramels, black Sumatrans, and then I have a couple of like morph like projects, but that's more just because those morphs themselves are just really, really pretty. So
Yeah.
again, it kind of goes back to the not necessarily line breeding, but like where you're trying to breed for like polygenic looks so that they're like increase in quality. Like, you said you see Elijah's table all the time. He brings
Yeah.
that like black Sumatran to the show, and that thing's like a damn shadow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I want to make like the blackest black bloods that I can possibly make, and I want to make the like creamiest like caramels that I can make as well, because they're just beautiful animals. And,
Yeah.
someone could get one of those and fall in love with it as a cool pet. Like someone at Tinley, they ended up picking up this golden eye blood python we brought, and they just want to give it a good life as a pet, and they want to put it in a 4x2 and enjoy it and hang out with it. Some other chick, she bought like one of his bait or one of the baby blood pythons that I had up on Morph Market, and she bought it because she like works from home and she wants like a snake to like chill on her desk. And I told her, I'm like, a blood python might be a bad one for that, like because it might like maybe it'll
Yeah.
feel nervous, maybe it'll feel some kind of way, but she did something where she created some sort of like hide or something for it to like hang out in. So it'll just like sit on her desk while she's just doing whatever she's doing for work. So it's like there's a lot of people that are out there that really want to just enjoy these very unique animals and have like a really good pet experience.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the projects you've focused down on the ball python side?
Oh, as far as like what I would want to keep and like work with like more extensively.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
yeah, what's kind of driving that side of the collection right now?
Um, Much like you, I don't know if you still have any ball pythons, but I know in previous episodes you've talked about how you really enjoy like the hypo puzzle stuff. So
I'm
that
down to very few. Most of the a
yeah,
lot of I'll call it my good stuff has gone on to new homes, but yeah, it hypo
that's
puzzle.
that's that's the way it goes. The good stuff,
Yeah,
has a way of leaving.
yeah.
Um, but no, for the most part, it would be the hypo puzzle and like hypo sunset puzzle.
Okay.
That's where I want to put most of my energy, and a lot of that's just because there's overlap within those projects, and I also really like the True Ghost project,
Yeah.
which is basically the same as like the Ghost and the Bull Snake. It's just white and black. These are more of like a gray and black, so
Yep.
they look a little ashy, but I think it's like a really cool, very like high contrast look. So I really want to put more effort into like making really uniquely patterned like hypo like puzzle things with hurricane, with confusion, with other like pattern disruption animals in there.
Yeah.
And then likewise, kind of the same thing with sunset, is to basically make hypo sunset things, hypo sunset puzzle, mix in, good and complete dominant genetics, and just kind of see where that stuff goes. One of the big kind of revelations with all that was the fact that like over the course of like the last couple of years, I haven't had more than 20 clutches of ball pythons, and I've done
Really?
well enough. Yeah, like this last year, I did 20 clutches, and that's the most I've done. The year
Okay.
before that, I kind of got hosed, and I got 13. It just wasn't working. Like the females that I thought were ready to go decided that they weren't ready to go. It just didn't really work out that well. And then I did 18 the 2 years before that, and then the year before that I just had one, which was my like surprise. Like didn't think my male was ready, but he was like massive. One of those because I just didn't expect size for him to work. Now I know you can breed a damn ball python small as hell, and they'll get the job done. Like I just wasn't aware of that at the time. But yeah, so it's like I've been doing really well with 20, less than 20 clutches of ball pythons. So in reality, it's like I could do all of what I've been doing with one rack of like a 5540 of ball pythons and a whole lot less rats to deal with, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at now is I'm, like my fiance, she wants to do like a lot of traveling and all that stuff. And the rats are what hold us back from doing that, from being able to
Yeah.
go and do stuff, because I can't ask, like, first off, I don't really know very many people here. I'm not going to ask her sister to come here and be like, hey, by the way, can you like check on these rats like every other day and make
Yeah.
sure they like have food and their water hasn't like vanished. Like I can't have like, her sister come over here and do that. So it's like, the easy solution is to just lower the number of rats that I need to produce. And the way that I do that is by condensing my product.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
My left headphone died, so I had to transfer over
I
to my
get it.
right.
Hold on. I think it's still not connected because I hear myself echoing.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, it just has iPhone microphone. Maybe it's working now. No,
Hello. Hello.
I mean I can hear you here, but you're probably hearing yourself echo. I'll try and
Um.
take it out and put it back in again.
Yeah. That's
See if it magically connects. Is it working?
maybe.
Audio, iPhone microphone. No, this thing hates me. I don't know why it's not picking up this one. This is what we were trying to avoid.
It's okay. Oh, now we lost him. It's all right. I think this will be just a second. What's up, chat? Thank you all for hanging out with me and Brandon tonight. I think we always have productive discussions here on Colubrid Corruption. So, once again, if you're here, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'll take this time to once again say thank you to David Deem over at Temporalis Enterprises for sponsoring Colubrid Corruption. If you're looking for your next Milk Snake project, go to David at Temporalis Enterprises. And I think Brandon is back. Hello.
I think I figured it out, maybe.
I think you're good. Maybe.
I thought so. But
I don't hear myself, so at least that's good.
Yeah, I think it just whenever it's registering it, but then it said the browser blocked it or something. So who knows? But either way. But yeah, so I think that, just by having, the 40 or so, in the group, I could still do pretty much the same production wise I've been doing. And honestly too, I'll be able to focus those efforts on like those projects specifically versus like being spread out in way too many projects. So
how many like adults are you at right now?
I've dropped my numbers considerably over the past like month and a half. But right now I would basically have 3 5540s full, and most of those aren't necessarily adults. Like I have some 2025 babies that are in there, already. And it's just because I have not had bad luck by putting a 300 gram hatchling in like a 55 series tub. So, but the majority of them are going to be like babies, so, or are going to be adults. So it's somewhere around like 100-ish adult ball pythons. So,
all right, no, fair enough. Cool. Yeah, so I mean, the rats are a pain. I'm sure that gets you. Do you have like standard rodent rack setups, like, and hopefully reducing the ball pythons? You're just getting to reduce, I guess, the amount of rats you have and need.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan. So I actually have the Vision rodent racks, the Vision Ultras, and those things are like phenomenal. Like, like I'm not like, it'd be great if they sponsored me. It seems like they're sponsoring other people, but like it'd be great if they sponsored me, because I think those racks are so much better than the ARS and Freedom Breeder racks for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I just like the way they are functionally wise, because it's like you're familiar with like the V35 tubs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the ones that I have, they take the V35 tub, which is like not a super long tub, so it's very easy to like just
slightly
either
longer than a
one-hand it or
V18.
like yeah, like it's very easy to maintain, because like if I pulled out like a 70 series tub, which I had one of those before, it's like those are friggin' massive tubs, and if you have a week's worth of rat piss in there, it's friggin' it weighs like 1,000 pounds, so you're filling up like a trash bag every like 3 tubs, but for this, I keep a good group of like 2 males and 6 females in each tub. They produce 1,000 ASF. It seems like they breed like so well in there. You can put the food wherever you want to put it. And then the water device is like the water jugs. They have like a system that like mounts directly to the rack, so they're just like right above the rack on their own thing, versus like ARS and Freedom Breeder, you have to like put 2x4s or something over the top of it to like have a table for the water to go. So I feel like they designed it really well, and it wasn't like very difficult to like put together. And it all ships for free too. So it's like it's like built into the cost or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it ships in like way too many packages via like FedEx or UPS. But like the point of that is you're not paying $400 in freight to get the rack.
Right.
So it's like that in itself just feels better as like a buyer, you know. So it's like overall like total cost, the vision rack is like $2,800 versus like an ARS rack would be like a little over 4,000. So it's like
Yeah.
you're saving like 1,200 some dollars per rack, you know, with the vision rack. And I feel like you get like good production, like ergonomically it's just built better, you know, for use as like a keeper to like clean and do everything else with it, I think. So
Yeah, I have someone, a friend, PJ. He's been on the show before and we talked about it, but he's using the Vision Rack for mice, not for rats, but yeah,
yeah.
he said it's been awesome. So
Oh yeah, it's a great rack. I mean, everybody I talk to that talks about doing like the rats and stuff, I'm like the vision rack is just the best. And I do think that like if you are wanting to like be more, I guess, serious about like this stuff, it's worth investing in the equipment, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up like rebuying a lot of things if you like don't get the right thing the first time, you know. And I'm
right.
going on round 3 of caging for my Burmese pythons too, which is that's exciting. So at first I got animal plastics cages and they were fine. They took forever to get to me. They were expensive and I had to pay freight. Putting them together was fine, but the issue was is the bottom enclosure, because of the weight, whenever I went to like slide the door, it like would be very hard to slide because the front was bowing a little bit because of the pressure
Mm,
from the weight above. So you basically have to build a rack to put them in general,
right.
which is crazy. So I got rid of those. I overpaid for a Freedom Breeder rack, which I'm not a huge fan of them. I prefer ARS over Freedom Breeder, but and it's like fine. Like I feel like they have like enough space in there. Because it's basically like 6 by 3, so they have a good amount of space.
Oh,
But also, if I do kind of lower the overall number of animals that I'm working with, I'd much rather just get 8 by 2, or I've even been slightly considering like a 10 by 2 enclosure for them, and then just have them stretched like along the whole wall, like in my room,
yeah.
and just really just give them like a ton of space, because I'm not going to have a ton of them, so I may as well set the ones that I do have up, you know, really well, you know, is kind
Okay.
of the idea there. So just because, yeah, just like I was saying though, it's just one of those kind of like learn from other people's like mistakes of like getting the best thing that you can get for them, so you don't have to like buy it a second or third time.
Yeah,
So
makes sense. I'd love to take a little bit of time to talk to you about your photography because I just think your pictures that you take are fantastic, and I'm sure it does nothing but help you and your business and sell animals and stuff like that. Because I'm gonna quickly share the screen here. Um, on like your morph market ad here because I just stumbled upon this one, but like there's not a lot of people who are putting as good as, pictures like this on their morph market ads. I know I'm sure not. I don't own a professional camera. I wouldn't know how to use one either. And admittedly, I don't like sunset either, but like this is a this is a fantastic ad.
yeah,
Um and the pictures are awesome. Even the thumbnail picture you sent me, I was like, you can't get better than that.
yeah.
Um so yeah, I mean, what is it about that have you always been into photography? Did you learn it because of the reptiles? Like what? Tell me about that.
Yeah, the reptiles are what got me into doing photography. Yeah, because I just enjoy it, and I feel like especially in like today's like age, just in general, um, you know, that's how you share these animals. You share
Right.
these animals by photos. You share these animals by videos. You share these animals on social media. So it's like why wouldn't you try and show them to the best of your ability, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So that's kind of it. And it's one of those things that like it's really not hard once you like just figure it out, which is probably the same for everything, right? But like photography really isn't that hard. I mean, it's just like I was talking with a buddy the other day because he's trying to get better pictures of like his boas and stuff. So we, had a phone conversation. I expected that he was going to have his stuff set up so I could show him versus just tell him because showing works a lot better than telling does.
Yeah.
But like once you get your settings dialed in for your situation and your room and your environment, you could basically just write those down and just do it. Like, basically what I told him is on his, because he picked up the camera that I recommended, he picked up the lights that I recommended, he picked up the lens that I recommended. So it's like as long as he has those things and he's doing it indoors in like his snake room, it's just a certain settings that I think work the best for getting a deep enough depth of field of the animal, a fast enough shutter speed to freeze the motion of the animal so you're not getting like movement from it moving or whatever else. And
Right.
then the only thing left to control after that is the ISO. So if the animal's too dark, raise your ISO. If it's too bright, lower the ISO. So it's a very simple process once you figure it out. Part of it is I'm for the most part I'm not really taking that many pictures with my cell phone. Like cell phones are just not reliable. Like one picture it'll look one way, one picture will look another way because
Yeah.
exposure will change, white balance will change. It'll just do whatever it wants to do. So by having even a modest, digital camera, like you can use that and get like the lens makes the biggest difference. And that's just a matter of like focus distance from you to the animal, as well as just in general, like compression from like a tighter focal range, will give you a better look as well. So
Gotcha. Um, so for anyone who does not have a professional camera and is using phone pictures solely, what do you think is the most important element to taking good reptile pictures? I'm pulling
well,
for an answer out of you because I think I know the answer, but I'm curious.
that's hard, and it's only because you have your exposure is going to change based on like your lighting situation, and your white balance is going to change based on the scene that you're photographing your animal in. So the best way to get the best pictures using like your cell phone would be like an overcast day in like non like basically in like shade like a shaded ish area that
Yeah.
has like indirect sunlight on like on something gray. So if you're taking a picture on like a sidewalk, on some like pavers, on some stuff like that with like natural light that's coming through, or even window light, like if you have like if your house or apartment or whatever is set up where you have a window that comes into this specific area at this specific time, you could also set up something there and basically build out like your own little like set basically. That
Yeah.
was something that I wanted to do this weekend actually. Was I've looked at people use them for, why am I forgetting the name, like epoxy, like they use like these like big bins for like epoxy that are like not very deep, but they're like 2 foot by 2 foot or different sizes or whatever. But what I would like to do is I'd like to get like a 2 foot by 2 foot thing to be able to put like some soil and some pavers and some plants and stuff like that in it, so I can basically create the look of an outside kind of gardeny
Yeah.
type area to just plop the animal down in. Because right now I use these like boards that you can get for like $50 a pop on this web. It's like Cotton Prairie or some. It has a weird name, but I
Okay.
got like these different boards that I use, and that's what I take all my pictures on. Or, like that gray one, it's just like concrete. And again, that's because like, first off, everybody knows what gray is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So they can use that as like a reference to the color of the animal. You know what I mean? So
True.
it's like, so that's part of it. And then I have one that's like more of like moss and like wood because I want that like naturalistic kind of look. And then I have like an orange one and a blue one because those are just like somewhat like engaging colors, like it's
Right.
like a pop of like color, so it makes things like look more interesting, I think.
Yeah. But to go back to what you were saying, like whenever someone asks, like I think lighting is like the most important factor of like
Yeah, for sure.
good pictures, especially on the phone. Like I'll tell you, I upgraded my I
Yeah, the
upgraded my
little
room
hexagon
lighting
guys.
to those things. Yeah, and it changed the game because I'm renting and the dog shit light in this room like was not cutting it. And like
Yeah,
I can't go outside to take pictures of where like with where I'm at.
yeah.
So I was like, I had to upgrade this at some point. I was using Flash, which like sucked, and I did that for like a year, but I finally got these things, and now I could take like at least half decent pictures from my phone without doing any
So
BS to it.
So the reason why I mentioned like a shaded or like an overcast day is because what you want is a large, soft light source.
Yeah.
So a large, soft light source adds like it just fills in the shadows better. It fills in the color. Like it just gives like it just doesn't give like super hard shadows. Like harsh light changes color as well. Like it'll make things like sometimes look more vibrant than they really are, which is like, a little deceptive to an extent. It's just more reliable, I guess, like that soft light look. So if you're using a light source that's larger than the animal and it's close to the animal, it's going to give you that very like soft look. So that's probably why those ones that you got do so well. But yeah, that
Yeah.
would be the biggest reason for that.
Speaking of what you just said, do you think, because I still feel like I see it a bit. I feel like last year and maybe 2 years ago it was a lot more prevalent, but do you think like ball python breeders are using lighting in a deceptive manner sometimes to show off animals?
Who knows? Everybody probably is. But the thing is though, is like I don't like I get kind of irritated sometimes because I see certain things and it's like I know that that's not what that looks like because like I
Yeah.
have like there's certain animals that are there's just certain animals that I've seen that I also have that I know that what it looks like, and the ones that have been shown, I'm like that's not what those fucking look like. It's not what they
Yeah.
look like. Like the picture is the picture or video is misleading to an extent. And it's like, and sometimes it's not a matter of like dishonesty. Sometimes it's just a matter of hashtag no edits because they use their iPhone, but they don't realize that their iPhone has all kinds of HDR nonsense in it
Yeah.
to like raise shadows and increase contrast and bring up the vibrancy a little bit and do all this other stuff. Or like certain camera manufacturers, they have more saturation in certain tones of the color,
Right.
like Canon skin tones. And when I say skin tones, I mean like the tone of like our skin, like the reds and the yellows and all that stuff. It does a certain thing to it and it warms them up, and likewise it warms
Mm.
up the color on the snakes, so it'll make certain things look better than they actually are. And it's not because you're doing anything mischievous, it's just because that's the way their system works.
Got
And
it.
so I think that it does happen. I don't think there are a lot of people that are necessarily doing it on purpose, but sometimes it's just, it just happens. They don't catch it, like whatever. Like there
Yeah.
was it's funny, and I'm not trying to throw like Justin under the bus by like any stretch, but there was a period of like 2 years ago where he did like a
I
monarch.
remember.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did like a monarch video, and it was things were like fluorescent,
Yeah.
and it's because he sent the video to like his editor, and his editor like again they're what they're doing is they're probably shooting in like Rec 709 on a camera, which is like raw decolored footage, and then you basically like add in a color profile after, and then you adjust it. So he just did what he thought was right, but homeboy isn't there in the facility. He doesn't even know what those animals look like in person. So
Yeah.
to me, that's crazy to begin with.
Yeah.
But also you're adding like layers of difficulty for no reason. like we're showing off snakes. We're not filming a friggin' documentary for HBO or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like to go through the trouble of like color grading a reptile vlog just doesn't make sense to me. And I like photo video stuff. Like it's just unnecessary. Like I would just go with a basic standard color profile, adjust contrast maybe, bring up the shadows maybe, correct the white balance if you need to. But yeah, it was funny and I don't think that was like on purpose, but it was just really funny because that was like the height of like of Monarch versus like Ultramel, and then
Yeah.
he's putting out this Ultramel video that like is like very not correct because his shirt is like half yellow, and it's just like it was just pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was funny, but yeah, it's like sometimes it's just because stuff happens. Other times it's disingenuous. But like I want people to get something from me and be like, okay, that's how that looks. And
Right.
realistically, like I'm using like even the light that I have on now to like fill in like part of my face. It's set at like daylight temperature light. So it's like if you're looking at an animal and you're in like a dingy lit basement or something, it's not going to look as nice as it would if you had a daylight temperature light on it.
Yeah.
A nice big soft light source. Like if you really really want to see how beautiful your animals are, just take those things outside.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
insane. Like if you look at your animals in a room, even if they have like good lighting, they look nothing like what they look like outside. Like they just look 10 times better when
Absolutely.
they're out under like natural sunlight.
Well, now at this point, because like these lights are like doing my job, I'm actually using the light in here to like mimic daytime almost. Because
Oh
like
yeah.
I have one window which like I have an AC in, and then like the blinds, like I don't want to keep the blinds all the way up and have the sun like beating in, especially because like the heat and it
Yeah.
later in the day the heat comes really bad here and I'm on the second floor. Besides the point, I use this to like pretend it's daylight. Granted, I do this
Well,
at night
I,
for the podcast, but
yeah.
it's a good like replicator
Yeah.
besides not having
And
UV.
another thing is too, like if you have different light sources, oftentimes those light sources have different color temperatures.
Yes.
So you end up with issues with that too, because if you're using like a tungsten light that has like a different color temperature than like a daylight LED bulb, it's like those are going to be conflicting. So you're going to get color casts and all kinds of craziness. So if you are trying to get like indoor pictures of your animals, it's best to use like one light source or light sources that are the same.
Yep.
Otherwise, it could basically throw those off, and you're just going to end up like either not being happy with how it looks, or it's just going to, basically alter the image in some kind of way based on those color temperatures.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um Cool. Well, uh, I guess I'll ask, when it comes to colubrids, as you're diving more into like that side of things, have you been like immersing yourself into that community a bit more too? Because obviously you're like so well ingrained with the ball python and community and like those people, and like so am I still, even with not being like really much in it anymore. But like, I don't know. Like, are you meeting more and more people because of these animals?
Not really, and that's kind of like my own fault.
Okay,
So partially it's because like I mean like dude like I said I've got like adult bull snakes over here that I've been raising since they were babies and
right.
stuff. But I haven't really shown a lot of the colubrids and stuff on like my Instagram, and likewise I haven't really shown many of the boas. Like I've been slacking on my like YouTube stuff. I did want to do like a, we're back kind of thing for like boas and kind of show the boas that I now have like in the collection that I've been like raising up. And I kind of want to do the same thing for like the bull snakes and the other colubrids, kind of like a meet my colubrids kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, and so I just it's stupid because I don't care. It's like I don't really care about social media. I actually like am a little like irritated with how prevalent it has to be in our like hobby. Like you can't just enjoy stuff or just post it because you think it's cool. It's like for whatever subconscious reason you need to worry about all these strangers on the internet liking your stuff, and then that somehow is like relating to like, I just don't like it. I just don't like how like it's turned into like who can be good at social media versus like here's a really cool snake,
Yeah.
like so I haven't really shown them that much because I feel like the majority of the people that are on my page could give a shit less about a bull snake. I posted a friggin' stupid nice my San Diego gopher that I got from Clint back at Bob's show, and it's like that, that animal like it only got like 69 likes, and it's like beautiful. Like it's so
Yeah.
nice. It's such a beautiful snake, and it's like, and I did it at the perfect time of day. It was like so nicely overcast, and I had a green tree behind it, so it like contrast the orange. Like I'm super proud of like that like video and like how it turned out and how well it like showed that animal. But a lot of the people that are on my page, they just don't appreciate that stuff. So it's like I'm going to start posting more of that stuff because I do
Yeah.
want to become more into that community.
Yeah.
Now, I will say like the blood pythons, I don't really post too much in like the blood python groups on like Facebook, but I do like comment a lot on those groups in Facebook. So it's like in that stuff I am like, part of those to an extent. And in other colubrid groups, like I'll comment on different things, but I rarely like post stuff. Like occasionally I will, or if like Morph Market makes a post of like show us the latest reptile you got or something like that, like I'll post
Right.
like I got these really nice like red bulls from John Hannum, and it's like I'll share like those. So it's like I'm trying to like be more like active in that stuff, but like I don't like that social media becomes like a job. Like
Sure.
posting on Instagram becomes like a job, and it's like, and that sucks, man. Because I love taking pictures of these snakes. Like I love taking
Yeah.
pictures of them and taking videos and all that stuff. Because I do think that showing those off is the best way to get more people interested in these things.
Yes.
So it's like I do really like doing that. I just don't like that it becomes a thing of how well did this picture perform or how well did this video perform, how many people commented on it and all that. Like it just turns into like a game that I don't really like playing.
Yeah, I mean, I see the same thing too, dude. Like I'll post like a really nice snake and it won't get that many likes, but if I post a clutch of eggs, regardless of species, it's like, oh, the eggs get your attention, but like if I post like
These
a
white
nice adult
balls, you love
snake,
them, but whenever
yeah,
you see all this other stuff and
exactly.
you don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it does suck, but I know people are seeing my stuff. I also think we're in a weird world with social media, especially with like TikTok and stuff like that, where we scroll so much and don't actually like stuff. Even if we see it, we physically like the post, but like we just keep scrolling because like we just forget to double tap on the screen. I think there's a bit of that as well because I find myself doing the same thing. I'll scroll past like someone I know who like I would like their pictures on a normal basis, but like I'm quickly scrolling and
It's
like
like,
I
oh,
don't
that's cool, and
realize it's
then on to the
them.
next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I try and make it like a conscious effort because like if I see your stuff and I know you and I like you, I will for the most part try and like it and throw like some sort of comment. And I'm not saying it's like disingenuous, but like, like my buddy like Matt and Ken that were in here earlier, like we vend together. And
Yeah.
it's like whenever I see one of their posts, I try and make sure that I like it and I try and make sure that I comment something on it because I look at it from the side of like I know that me liking it and me commenting on it tells the evil overlords of the algorithm that that's a worthwhile post, so then they'll show it to more people.
I
Like
try to do the
so it's
same
like I
thing.
try and do that stuff for people that I know and that I talk to or people that I like just like how they're kind of doing things or whatever
Yep.
else because it's because I do feel like they're doing good. And like, and to go back on like what you talked about with like the communities and stuff, like I don't have like a reticulated python. I keep going back and forth on like whether or not I would like one of these like locality like dwarf animals or dwarf project type things. But like I'm in like the retic groups on Facebook and checking stuff out, and like dudes that I knew from like 2007 that keep retics, like I comment on all their stuff because they're making like beautiful animals, and
Yeah.
it's like again it goes to those animals and putting a little bit of effort into like commenting on those posts or liking those different things or the videos or listening to the podcast. It's like you could pick up a bunch of different things that could help you in your other things. Like for some reason, if someone wasn't into colubrids and they were watching this podcast and then they heard about all that photo video stuff, they could be like, oh shit, I could do that for my whatever. And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, they're getting cool pictures of their box turtles or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can get valuable information out of all these different like communities that are within like the reptile hobby.
Absolutely. Um, this is a shameless plug, but I think you should consider coming to Colubrid Fest if you have the time. If you want to really meet hardcore Colubrid people.
Yeah, I
Uh,
thought about that because that's in Indiana, right in Evansville.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I just
Just
look at
saying.
that and I'm just like, hot damn, that's a long drive, you know?
I've done it. I did it from Florida, and I've done it from New York. Not to Evansville. First time to Indianapolis, then to Fort Wayne, and now I'm driving to Evansville this year. So
Yeah, when does that fall in? 'Cause
it's
I want to say
the
it's before Tinley, right?
yes, it's the hold on, I lost my keyboard. It's the end of September. The pull up thing. The Saturday and Sunday is September 26th and 27th.
Nice.
Most people get there on the Friday night. There's like the hangout on there. So yeah, I don't know. But that would be a good place for you to kind of meet more people, and there will definitely be bull snakes there and hog noses and all the stuff you're into. So
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty solid on like my hog nose stuff where it's at because they're just I got the genes that I like and
yeah,
I can make the cool stuff that I got from it, but not I definitely have thought about that before because it would be interesting, and I know they do like a lot of educational talks and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff, and it's like it's funny, but like I like kind of like laugh about it when I think about it because my fiance, she'll come with me to like all this stuff and I know it's just like death by PowerPoint for her. And it's like, so it's like she would come to Colubrid Fest and she would just be like bored to tears because it's just like, oh God, like we're talking about the friggin' range of the rat snake in Texas or something and why they split up the genuses or whatever, and it's
yeah.
like, so it would be kind of funny. I think if I were to do something like that, it would probably be to go do the like if there is like a bull snake thing or one of the snakes I actively keep to like listen to, I'd probably like turn up to that one. But otherwise we'd probably do it the same way we do in Daytona, which Daytona we have a snake day, then we have a her day. So the snake
Okay,
day is always Saturday. So Saturday we'll go to the show. I'll maybe film like a video or pictures or whatever I'm doing for my YouTube if I do anything for it. And then Sunday we always do for like her. So that's like
gotcha.
sitting by the pool, grabbing like a drink or whatever, going down to the beach, going to like different food places. So it's like we get like a little 50-50. She gets bored to tears on Saturday looking at a bunch of snakes, and then I sit in the friggin' summer heat of Daytona Beach, just boiling, just
Yeah.
trying to survive. But yeah, it's fine.
All
So
right. Well,
that'd
cool.
probably
If
be how we would do it.
yeah. In Colubrid Fest case, the educational talks are on the Saturday, and then the auction, the actual show, like the expo, is on the Sunday. So
Yeah, I remember
it goes
Clint
like that.
talking about how they did that, and it's crazy too because I remember like back in the day, I would go to the San Diego shows back when NARB, I think it was NARBC that was doing those shows too down in San Diego. But I would go to those shows when I was like in high school, and they would always have like guest speakers
Mm,
during the hours of like the show. But I know the way that they did Colubrid Fest, they split it up. So that way it's like there's no sales on Saturday, no
yeah.
sales relatively speaking. But like that's the day for like education and like understanding things and like actually taking in information so that Sunday
Yeah.
you can be excited about looking at these different species and potentially adding some new ones to like your collection or just picking up pets or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and the good thing about the educational talks is like unlike what you said, they actually don't make them species specific so that it is generally broad so that it doesn't make people bored. Um
Gotcha.
they're always like pretty broad topics that are usually colubrids as a whole. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is really interesting because colubrids are like a very like there's such a wide array of them. It's
Yeah.
like that rat snake that you showed from Colubrida. Like that thing looked crazy. Like whatever the
Yeah.
color, whatever was going on with that thing, it looks crazy. And
Yeah.
that's actually that those guys are actually where I got one of my pairs of bull snakes too.
Oh, okay,
I got
nice.
some
Yeah,
like
yeah.
snowflake albinos from them, and they're like phenomenal looking. So
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, I'm curious. We're getting towards the end here, but are there any other colubrid species that are kind of like catching your eye that you're like, this might be something I'm interested in, even if you're not planning on adding it right now, but like I'm curious as you're diving into this world, what are some things besides the stuff you have that are interesting to you?
well, I was going a little bit back and forth on some of the gray band king snakes because they look cool,
Mm.
but like I feel like I just don't want the trouble. So, I'm just like I just hear about like all the people that have been working with them for so long, and it's like they kind of have it down, but they still have like complications. And
Yeah.
it's like, and I like them because they're pretty. Like the colors are crazy. The fact that they don't really actively eat each other is also pretty nice. So there's that. There's like a couple of like really unique looking like corn snakes that are just like exceptionally pretty as like adults that are just like
Yeah.
a very like there's some that are just like a really neat like soft pink. Like I like they're like the salmon snow or some kind of I don't know.
Right.
I like screenshot it and I was like, man, that thing it just looks really cool. Like one
Yeah.
dude, which I don't think you've had him on, we will watch his videos and stuff like pretty often, but Cloud Colubrids, have you ever talked to that dude?
I think I have, and I don't remember his answer to coming on the show or not.
Oh well. Either way though, he does a lot with corn snakes and some king snakes and stuff. And it's like he just seems like a pretty chill dude. Like I met him once down in Daytona briefly.
Yeah.
He also enjoys coffee, which I too enjoy coffee, so it's kind of like
Nice.
funny. But some corn snakes are like super pretty, but it's like if I were to have those, I wouldn't get a lot. I would literally just have like a pair or two of like the specific thing that I think looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then like the rhino rats are like pretty neat. Just like the look that they have, and then like the bamboo rats I've gone like back and forth on just because it's like I feel like the one that I like the most is the banded one, but from what we talked about before, it's like the color just doesn't stay there as it does with the striped guy. But they're still like
Uh,
really pretty, so it's like a matter of
yeah.
like maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but like I also like one thing that is nice about the colubrids is you do like brumate them for like several weeks a year, so you have less responsibility, more ability to go travel or do other things. So it's
Yeah.
like what I don't want to do and what I'm kind of actively trying to do is kind of bring this down into more of just like a hobbyist kind of level. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I want to I just want to keep the stuff and enjoy it and like be able to kind of take my time with it and not be like overwhelmed by numbers. So
Yeah.
what I don't want to do is like, say if I get my ball pythons down to like between like 40 and 80 or like 40 and 60 or somewhere around there, that's like a very reasonable, manageable number, because it doesn't take long to go through like 40 ball python enclosures, like to clean and water and do
Yeah.
everything. But like what I don't want to do is I don't want to have 150 colubrids that I got to clean twice a week because they're painting the walls every time they get a meal.
Yes.
So it's like I don't want to like lower my numbers in one to go too crazy on numbers on like another. So I do really want to keep my colubrid numbers like pretty reasonable. It's and I want to give them more than enough space to where they're chilling, man. Like I said, I want to kind of set up, the bull snakes in the 8016 versus that 4 foot cage with, different hides and cork barks and all that stuff. And I'd like to do that with all the other colubrids too, because
Yeah.
I do think that they would get more stimulation from that. I think they would have a more fulfilling life, whatever that means to a snake in an enclosure. Like the bull snakes, man, like I put a lot of bedding in their enclosures because these bastards love to tunnel dive.
Yep.
Like they friggin' make all kinds of cool little tunnels. And the other night the other week I was feeding my ghost bull snakes, and like I went to like lift up her hide because I thought she was in there. And then whenever I did that, I look under my hand and she's just prairie dogging out of a friggin' hole, just flicking her tongue. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're just hiding right there. Like you're like you're not even in there." And it's like when I look into their enclosure, all I see are just a bunch of like perfectly cut out circles throughout the bedding. So they're just
Did
doing
you
laps underneath the ground, like they're in tremors or something.
did you see that video circulating social media last
Yeah,
week of that gopher going
the
down and
gopher
grabbing
getting the
that?
gopher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was so cool.
yeah, that
But
was
yeah, that's what
crazy.
they
Like,
do. They go through those burrows and they
yeah.
eat and they come back up and they cruise around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I generally speaking, because I like all animals and stuff, but like whenever I seen that video pop up, I was like, that's like I seen it and I was like, I think I know what's about to happen. And then it happened and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's real crazy. But it's like it is a cool video. I don't like that, it just is what it is. That's like nature, you know what I mean? But like I'm
Yeah.
not actively trying to like I was like I like photography and I got into like birding that my like mentor does. I haven't done any of it like this year really, but like I was watching some videos previously on these people that do these like backpacking things for doing like wildlife photography. And like this one dude was, talking about how this is the coolest thing he's gotten, and he was literally getting like a pack of wolves like tracking down like a friggin' wildebeest or something,
Mm.
like a bison. And I'm just like, I'm not really trying to watch like a pack of wolves like rip apart a bison,
Eh,
but like to see that gopher snake just like he knew that thing was there. Like he
yeah.
didn't, he was locked in. He did not care that that lady was watching him. He was like, my next meal is right there and I am waiting for it to come out. Leave me alone, please. And then
Yeah.
he just friggin' went for it. I was like, God dang, like that's wild, because bull snakes don't really constrict. They just beat the hell out of their prey.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty crazy, like the strength they have. And it's like the same thing with like indigos. Like indigos, they just like the strength they have, I think they just hit their prey and then they probably break its back or neck or who knows what,
I've seen a
because
lot
they
of
don't really
colubrids like
wrap them up
press
as much.
stuff. Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
almost like use their body to push it against the wall, like instead of constricting. So like
Yeah.
same different method, same result, pretty
Yeah,
much.
basically. Yeah, but it's pretty wild, man. It's intense. So, and I sent a video to a buddy of mine earlier too, Charlie, that does like shed testing,
Yep.
phenome. That he's working on all that stuff. I sent him a video of a Dumeral's boa doing the same thing. It was a
Oh,
Dumeral's
really?
boa. It was sitting under bedding, and then it had its tail out, and it was wagging its tail around like it was trying to lure something in. And it was
Mm,
just like, that's cool because that's what they probably do in the wild, like all the time. Like they're ambush predators, like they're just waiting around. So they're waiting for a rat, they're waiting for a bird, they're waiting for who knows what to come by, and then they snatch them up. And that's how they survive.
yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. Um, all right, man. Well, You actually kind of hit on a couple of my follow-up questions there. Um, really, at this point, obviously I call this the Colubrid Corruption Podcast. It was originally made to corrupt more ball python people to get into colubrids, at least to some
That's funny.
degree. But really, what's your elevator pitch to other ball python breeders out there of why they should be interested in all these cool colubrids?
I don't know, man. It's really tough because it's like there's two sides to it, right? Like the one side is I think that they are really cool animals. I think they're beautiful. I think they make great pets. What I don't want to see, and it's like, and I'm going to sound like an ass for saying it, but it just kind of is what it is. I don't want to see an overproduction of these animals because they think that they need to do this crazy volume to make this
Yeah.
XYZ amount of money. So it's like I don't necessarily want people to really get into it like that. Like I don't
Okay.
want ball python people to get into it and be like, okay, well, now I need to have an entire facility of a 20 by 30 building and I need to load it to the gills with bull snakes and I need to produce 1,000 clutches a year. Like, no,
I
thank
just
you. You know,
whatever reason, and maybe this is me being like naive thinking this, like I don't know, it seems like it's just so easy to do it with ball pythons that I don't think there are many colubrid species that, like, besides like horns and kings and hognose, that you could truly replicate that
probably not. And it's like,
within the
and that,
species.
and that is, I think, what is kind of happening with like hognose, man. Like, I looked at it because, like, I looked at it just out of like the sheer curiosity because a buddy of mine, he got out of ball pythons, and a lot of that was just because he was kind of tired of the rat race of the genes. And I know I've heard you say that pretty much word for word in like previous videos for yourself,
Yeah.
or previous podcasts you're doing, with other people, and you basically said that you got tired of the rat race. And that's kind of what I like about these other things, man. It's like I'm just trying to make more really colorful bull snakes
Yeah.
that someone can get for a very reasonable price and that they can enjoy for a very long time. Like the people that I remember like a lot of people if I've had like good conversations with them or whatever. But like from the shows, whenever you have someone that comes up and they pick out an animal and they're picking out that animal because they want a cool pet, like those interactions I enjoy a lot because they're going to appreciate that animal a lot
Yeah.
more. Like, dude, I found myself in a situation where I was doing something and then I had this idea. I was like, man, wouldn't it be really nice to like get like an exanthic confusion or a confusion head exanthic to put into XYZ project? And here I am friggin' looking on Morph Market and researching it and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, there's this one and then there's this one. And then my dumbass realizes I already have one that's like 1,000 grams in my rack. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so easy with the ball pythons to kind of forget like what you have because of like the quantity of that and how like easy it is for like this project to overlap this or there's all kinds of those kind of dynamics. And I don't think that that same thing necessarily applies with some of the colubrids because it's like me personally, I don't want to have a million of them. I just want to have
Sure.
what I would consider a very reasonable group of variety because the different looks appeal to me. And hognose are kind of in a bad situation too, where
I
there's
think
a lot of those.
hogs are doing what ball pythons are doing, like, way faster because you could produce so many more from so little
You
adult
get
stock.
females, yeah, you get females that are producing like, dude, I got 20 hognose. I don't need more hognose. I got 20 of them things. And
Yeah.
most of those are females. I think I have like 14 or 15 females or somewhere around there.
You could
But
do
like,
damage with that.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying, man. I don't need to have more of those, and
Yeah.
I think that so what I believe happened with the ball pythons is you had people that got them, their collection got big, it became harder and harder to take care of stuff. So then they hire somebody on, and because they hire somebody on, they need to produce more. And because they're producing more, now they need to breed their own rodents. But then they're not going to breed their own rodents. They're going to pay somebody to breed their own rodents. So then they got to produce more snakes to offset the cost of paying somebody to breed their own rodents.
Yep.
So it's like next thing you know, you have, a Mike Wilbank size. I know that's a little excessive, but you have a Mike Wilbank sized operation where you got employees and people doing your rats and like all this other stuff. And that's not to try and like throw any shade at anything, but like if you were a single individual that kept a reasonable number of animals and either purchased or bred your own rodents and were able to take care of that all yourself, the overproduction would be far less substantial. Like the ball pythons is the biggest example because there's 23,000 of those available.
Yeah.
The hognose are pretty rough because there's like 3 or 4,000 of those available, and there's a point where the demand is not going to outreach the supply. So it's like there's not enough. Like these things live a long time. And I've
Yeah.
said that on like many other podcasts that I've been on. Like these things are living like 15, 20, like 30 years. Like you have to take that into consideration. That's why with like my berms, I'm trying to produce like a caramel granite pied or a caramel pied is what I want from my berms that I have.
Yeah.
Whenever I produce that, it's like I'll breed them like probably maybe every other year or something to like offset just rodent cost and time or something along those lines. But it's like those things live for a long time. I'm coming up on 40. I don't need to get another berm that's going to take me into my 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's just not realistic. And it's like, and that's obviously a bigger example because the snake is much larger. But like, the ball pythons, man, they live a long time too if they take care of them. And it's like, dude, I got friggin' like almost 10 males that are basically normals that are just sitting in a tub getting a rat a week because I want to make sure they go to like a good home.
Yeah.
Like I want to make sure that they go somewhere that someone's going to care about them. And, it's just, it's really dicey when there's a lot of those animals available. And the hognose, it's the same thing, although they're a much smaller animal, so it's a kind of less of an issue. But if you have people that have like 100 female hognose or some absurd number, and they're like breeding those, and it's like, how are you doing that when you have like hundreds of things that are still available from the previous season,
Right.
and you're actively pairing like to produce another 1,000 of them or who knows how many? Like it's just crazy to me. It's like you're just kind of eating your own tail at that point because there's
Yeah.
just too many. Like there's too many, and it just becomes, I don't even know what it becomes, but that's just too many animals to deal with on like an individual level, and it overcrowds the market if those things aren't moving. Like I know, and it's like related, but ties in somehow. Emily from like Snake Discovery, like she does a really good job pushing colubrids, mostly the hognose.
Yeah.
She is taking a break from breeding her bull snakes because she was having a hard time moving those at her shop or whatever. So
Mm.
it's like that's like a wise choice, right? She said, "Hey, we have these things. We're not selling them as often in our shop, so we're not going to keep them." But that's also probably because of the demographic of people that she brings in to the shop and everything else. Because like Summer, like she
Yes.
does a great job moving her bull snakes.
Yeah.
Jason, he does a great job moving his bull snakes. So it's like it's just a matter of like what people you bring to your section of the internet. And it'll be rough for me because I got too many damn species. So it's like I'll have like little groups from here, little groups from there, like, but it's just too hard, man, with like so many cool animals that are just out there. It's just, it's really tough to like not like them all. So,
Yeah, well, in my opinion, for you, like you saying that, I think you actually have a fantastic advantage when you go to sell that other stuff because you already have a very well built morph market page. Now, will someone maybe click on your bull snake ad before someone like someone like Jason or Summer, maybe not, but you're gonna put that
Actually,
high quality.
yeah, I was going to say, actually, I had a conversation with a buddy about that the other day. And I was like, honestly, though, it's like I feel like I would probably do like I wouldn't necessarily do better than them like production wise, but I
Yeah,
feel like I would do better than them like showing the animals wise. Like Summer does a
yeah,
really good job because she does like weekly YouTube videos. Same thing with Jason. He does weekly videos or semi-weekly videos as well. He does them fairly
yep.
often. But like nothing against Jason. I've picked up animals from him in the past, but his photos are horrible. He takes them with like fridge magnets and it just doesn't look that good. So if
Yeah,
you're someone coming across and you're like looking at an animal and you have Jason's with like fluorescent fridge magnets, or you have like mine on like what looks like a concrete slab that's like lit very well and the animals like there, close up detail shots, it's like you could see that and be like, okay, like that you can see like like I don't really get a lot of people asking me for pictures of the animals. And if I do, I ask them, I'm like, what do you want to see? Because they're not getting any better
yeah.
than that.
No,
Like,
that's crazy for you to get that question. But what I was gonna say is that, like, especially when you get started with selling the bull snakes, just in case people, if people don't believe you, or like that like you produce them, just like be good about documenting like the parents, like showing either the locks or the mom on eggs or the eggs
I know, and,
hatching,
and
like
that's and that's
like
what's
and
rough
even
now about not showing
even
them on like my Instagram.
well, yeah, even I'm like that. Like, I just try to like take pictures of as much as I can, and whether or not I post it, at the very least, I just have it in my back pocket to be like, here you go. Here's your proof that you wanted. Here's the eggs
Yeah.
hatching in my facility, whatever,
Is that
however
is
you
that
want to
like
put
a
it.
thing? Is there just a lot of like jobbers in the colubrids where that's like a concern for a lot of people or what?
There,
Or is
I
it just
mean,
mostly proving they're not wild caught?
yeah, not wild caught. Like whether or not you produced it. There's a lot of people like colubrids. Granted, ball pythons get flipped, but I think colubrids, like a lot of people will buy to then like resell at shows or in reptile shops and whatnot. Like I
Yeah.
see it a lot in colubrids where it's not self-produced animals. And maybe you want something that came from the breeder where you know what the parents looked like. And like
Oh yeah,
if
for sure.
if you're not that person, if it came from someone else, you're not going to have that information. You're not going to have those pictures of the parents. You're not going to know that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think as a colubrid breeder, you do yourself just an even better service of having as much information. And I've said this before, like I got snakes from a buddy last year, but he gave me all the information I needed to like advertise it as such, that it
Yeah.
came from him. He sent me pictures of the parents and I advertised them that way, and they sold. And I clearly laid out in the description like I didn't produce these. I'm selling them for
Yeah.
a buddy, but here you go. So
Yeah.
that's just my take. I'm happy to talk about that more off camera, but yeah.
Oh no, it makes sense. And the same thing is true in like the ball python world too. Like if you're like a nobody that hasn't been posting on social media and then you show like some crazy thing, it's like who's going to buy that from you if they don't even know who you are? They can't trust you, they can't like verify who, like you from anybody, like it's just yeah.
Someone offered me like a hypo clown pied in a trade on like one of my animals, and I had no clue who this person was. Not that I would ever take that. I wouldn't have taken that snake, but I was just like, no thanks. Like, A, I don't know who you are. B, you're sending me a dog shit picture of this animal, and I didn't want another ball
Yeah.
python anyway. So
Yeah, I don't understand having a really good mutation of something and then putting up a horrible photo.
yeah,
Like you're not doing any like service to like the project. Like I know you said you don't like sunset and there's a lot of people that don't like it, and that just is what it is. But like you're not like if you do like sunset and you're posting a sunset, please for the love of God, don't make it look worse. You know what I mean? Like I just please, like it doesn't do any like all that does is fuel the people that hate the project because they're like, did you see the picture so and so did? Like I got on to Bob about this because he had some sunset puzzles, and you know, whenever a snake goes into shed and they're just like that
Yeah.
ashy ash part of like the shed where they're just like they look as dingy as they possibly could.
Yeah.
He posted that picture on like a private Discord, and like I know people that are 100% not in that Discord that said that they seen it and that it like looked horrible, and I'm just like, dude, like it doesn't do any. And it's like the sunset puzzles look phenomenal, like they look amazing. It's one of the better sunset combos for sure, especially with pattern. But it made them look the worst they could have possibly looked. Like first thick shed, like in the thick of it, like
Yeah.
it was just bad light, like everything. It's like, dude, like I understand, but like at the same time, like it just didn't do any favors for like the project. And it's, yeah, you gotta, it's like these days you're not selling an animal, you're selling the picture of the animal. So putting a little bit extra effort into showing that animal the best way possible will only help you, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. All right. Well, we just crossed the 2 hour mark. I think that kind of brings us to the end for tonight. But once again, I have the link to your Instagram, Brandon, in the description here. Any final words for the audience at home?
Nope, just thanks for checking it out, and hopefully, I learned that I keep more than just ball pythons. So
Yeah,
that's about
absolutely.
it. And I need to be better at showing the other non-ball python stuff.
I think you should, because I think it'll bring more people to your page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, with that, folks, this was another great episode of Colubrid Corruption. If you're here for the first time, once again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out. Share with a friend. Check us out on all the major audio podcasting platforms. Check out the first link in the description below. That'll take you to the Meteoric Serpents Patreon. A lot of cool benefits on there. Check it out. Once again, big thank you to David Deem over at Temporalis Enterprises for sponsoring Colubrid Corruption. And that's all for tonight, folks. This was episode number 107 of the Colubrid Corruption podcast with Brandon Nixon of Nixon Reptiles. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.